Hey everybody, today on American Land Seller, we are joined by Al Wisnefske, broker owner of Land and Legacy Group in Washington County, Wisconsin. Al grew up in the rural part of Washington County, and that's where he grew his fascination and love for land, farms, and country homes. In 2014, Al graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, and that's when he decided to take his knowledge, experience, and entrepreneurial spirit into the real estate world. Al helps clients buy, sell, and invest in everything from sprawling rural country estates all the way down to first-time dream homes for young couples. Al, like a lot of us in rural America, well, he does it all. As a realtor, communication and connection is what keeps Al's clients coming back for more. At the core of who Al is and what he stands for is unsurpassed customer service, insightful opinions, negotiation, honest advice, and endless support. Al has not only helped hundreds of clients move in and around Wisconsin, he is also an active member in his community. He has served on the Washington County Deer Advisory Council and is the past president of the Quality Deer Management Association Kettle Moraine branch. As a local business owner, he can relate to the walls and barriers one can encounter along their business journey. He believes in a strong investment and giving back to the fabrics of his community. Join me as we get to know Al Wisnefske, broker owner of Land and Legacy Group, and as always, we hope that you take something away from this episode. Hello everyone, my name is Koby Rickardson and welcome to the American Land Seller Podcast. We are so excited you decided to join us today on our journey to discover new and interesting things about everything land, from sales, investments, ownership, regulations, and so much more. Our mission is to connect you to the top folks in the country where it has to do with land so we can learn more about everything from agriculture to land development.
Okay, Koby and our special guests, let's get started.
Hey everybody, we're here today with Al Wisnefske from Wisconsin, and super excited to have him on. Al comes at things from just a little bit different approach than maybe some of us do, in the sense that he's from a rural part of Wisconsin, and he is just happy to help anybody when it comes to real estate. And so he's going to talk just a little bit about that. And how are you today, Mr. Al?
We finally got some sun, so everybody's in a lot better mood. So we're definitely ready for warmer weather, more sun, get the rain out of here. So can't complain.
Nice. Yeah, same here. We're finally, it's gone from like 0 to 70 overnight, seems like. So, but I'm not going to complain about that. I'm a little froze, so I'm ready to thaw out. Hey, so what's real estate looking like in Wisconsin right now? How is your market? Like kind of what's going on where you're at?
We definitely have a mixed bag. So just as an example, I just put a deal under contract actually yesterday, and we actually got it under contract 16% under the list price. And that really had to do with that listing was probably overpriced, but it was actually kind of encouraging to, work with a buyer and seller that really understood market prices, and they probably were a little bit high, and we put the deal together. So you don't hear that all too often right now. But then on the complete flip side, just worked with some buyers of mine for their second home and got beat out. We were one of 5 offers, which we've been hearing, 50 some offers on some properties closer to Milwaukee. Those are more, regular style homes, but it's kind of been all over the place. I think the rural stuff for us though has really been kind of slower paced, which I like, because you kind of take your time and it's not so hectic and stuff like that. But there's definitely a mixed bag right now.
Yeah. Are you seeing interest rates like in the psychology of your buyers and sellers? Is that something that's in the back of their mind where maybe they've kind of gotten locked into like a 2% interest rate and don't really want to let go of that too bad? Is that kind of something you're seeing?
Yeah,
too?
I do see it a little bit. It really depends how long. I'll just go like on the buyer side, like how long that buyer's been in the market. If they were newer when stuff was cheaper, and now they're getting hit with 2 or 3 times what they were quoted when they first started looking. That's been a shock for them. It has knocked out a couple property criteria for them. Obviously, they got to take into account the purchase price now a little bit more because that mortgage payment's a little bit heavier. But as far as people that maybe I've worked with before from 3 to 5 years ago, they really understand, because that's kind of what they were paying back then. So their change really wasn't as drastic for those types of people. So I think it's all kind of where you got introduced in your buying journey. And then on the flip side, sellers too, if they sold something that had a 3% interest rate, now going to a 6 or a 7, yeah, that seems like a shot in the foot. But if they're used to being higher interest rates, which a lot of the clients that I work with have really experienced that 6 and 7% interest rate, it really didn't affect, I guess, my business too much.
Well, and you kind of started in 2014, so I don't know that you've ever seen really interest rate like this high, but I tell people this is kind of, if you look historically, it's pretty normal.
It is.
Actually a little low if you average everything out. So.
Yeah, and on the land side of things, like, those land buyers have always had higher interest rates than houses. And so people that have been in that space, they're a little bit more comfortable with it because it's just kind of the norm for them.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. And the down payments and stuff like that with land are, like there's just not a whole lot out there that's not government backed that you can do without putting 30-40% down either. So some great programs. So one of the things, we don't know each other too terribly good, but one of the things doing my research on you I kind of think is fascinating is you live in a rural part of your state. And because of that, you are happy and excited to kind of help all aspects of real estate, which some of us are, like I started out in residential and now I do only land and commercial. And so talk just a little bit about what it's like to go show a farm in the morning and then, 3-bed, 1-bath in the afternoon, I bet that's kind of exciting.
It's a little weird sometimes because I'll be walking like 40 acres and you're getting, you got muddy boots and stuff, and then like I'm not a suit and tie guy, so right. We're dressed the same pretty much right now, hats, all that stuff, and yeah. I'll go to a house. Actually, it was funny because one day I did that. There was this huge lake house on Lake Michigan, and it was like 800 some thousand, and I show up being the land guy, farm guy, and all these people are dressed so nice, like I'm just like, man, do I even belong here? So that's a little bit different sometimes, but no, it really kind of stems from that's kind of just the area where I live. Like we're big transitional, I guess, kind of demographics. We have farms and stuff like that, but where I live, you kind
Sure.
of have people that have been farming forever. And eventually those properties come up for sale. They get turned into subdivisions, development. So that kind of lent me to be, okay, I do need to add in more of those, what's called regular style home, those types of transactions into my business. And I don't advertise a lot of that type of business. It's more of by referral only, people that I know,
right.
Friends, family. If they're looking to do something like that, then of course I'll jump on that. But if it's somebody else, I might actually just refer that out because I love the rural space. That's where I want to spend most of my time. That's where I think I'm the most, I I guess, knowledgeable. And what I've noticed though is as I've done more rural property, there's a lot of things you need to look at: zoning, soil, topography, and when I take that and apply it to a house, I feel like I'm a better agent because we're so used to looking so deep into these properties that transitions well, because you're not looking at all the positives about a house. You're actually looking at what could go wrong. And we own some investment properties as well, short-term rentals, commercial buildings. So being involved with that every day, I just, naturally kind of gravitate towards when somebody needs help with that. Like, yes, I would be more than happy to help you with that, and then give obviously my take on that from being a buyer myself or a seller myself.
Yeah, it's don't get me wrong. I'm from a rural part of America too, and so we do work a big area. I have my license in Kansas, Nebraska, and South Dakota, and so it's, I joke around about like it may be 6 hours before I even get to where the listing is, and a lot of times it's just an appointment to see if we like each other. We'll come back next week, 6 hours and 12 hours round trip, and list the property, but no. I think that's a good time to take a break, Al. How's you feeling pretty comfortable? I know you're kind of you got your own podcast, so this should be old hat for you, right?
Yeah, and I do. Actually, before this, I was recording a video to put on YouTube, so yeah, I'm good to go whenever.
All right. Well, we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Remax Home Farm and Ranch. Remax Home Farm and Ranch is the premier marketing and selling real estate company in Nebraska and South Dakota. You can find all the great Remax agents and their listings at homefarmranch.com. That's homefarmranch.com. You can look up and see what they're up to and follow along on all the things that they have going on. Once again, this episode is brought to you by Remax Home Farm and Ranch, and you can find their listings and their agents at homefarmranch.com. Once again, homefarmranch.com. All right, we're back here with Al from Wisconsin. Al, we were talking during the break that you just finished up a month or two ago and submitted your ALC packet. That's got to feel incredibly good to have that monster done and in the mail, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was when I finished the portfolio section of it. I had, you type up the narratives and stuff, and I remember doing my last one, and it was just like, wow, I'm done. Like it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of good work though. One thing I did not expect to have happen is when you go back through all those old transactions, you kind of reflect on what worked, what didn't work, the good parts, the bad parts, and it kind of gave me an appreciation of, kind of how I grew from there, and then you kind of put it all together. That was something I didn't expect to happen.
Yeah, when I was doing it, I had somebody told me, they said, hey, when you're just starting out, putting all your properties together, and then that way when you get around to submitting your packet, you don't have very much to do. And that was great because it was true. Once I got done, I had, done a little bit at a time. Problem was when they started calling on stuff, which they will when they actually get to reviewing it, I'm like, I submitted that? Why did I submit that one? It must have seemed like a great idea.
Yeah.
2 years ago when I first started the journey. But so when you were going through your schooling, did you go to the boot camp, or did you do it all like individually online, or did you some of both? Or
so I did all of mine online, the virtual ones. I would go back and I would probably do a couple of them in person. Just because of I think the face-to-face building connections with other agents. You miss that online. But I did, the virtual one was good. I'm kind of a self-paced person anyway, so it was nice to have, that interaction online. But then also, you got to do some stuff, behind the scenes a little bit, just to complete everything. But yeah, the online was a good option for me.
Yeah, that I can see, like, and I know we kind of talked about this too, that you haven't had the opportunity to go to a land conference and are kind of excited about 24 being close to you so you can make it. But once you go to that land conference, you can see some of these bonds that are forged through that boot camp. Like there's some people that are really close through that. But I did a little bit of a hybrid. I went to about half the classes in person in different parts of the around me, and then I did the other half, or a little bit over half, online. So
Yeah,
I wish I had taken the land analysis, or the like the financial analysis class in person.
yeah, those were tough. I mean, I went through my MBA, and that stuff, I still struggled with it, and I went through it and I was like, oh my god, like I hope I can get through this part for the ALC. I mean, it's challenging. I mean, I've taken a lot of designations, and a lot of them you can do on, like, let's just say like a weekend. You just go through everything, submit it, you're good to go. This one actually makes you think.
Yeah. Nope. And did you have Phil McGinnis then? Is that who taught yours?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I don't know. I think he thinks he's funnier than he really is, though. And I would tell that to him to his
Yeah.
face.
So do I.
So you and I have quite a bit in common. But one of the things we have in common is that in our business model, we chose a franchise to partner with. I know I've been, I'm happy with Remax. My residential guys just blow everybody out of the water around in the rural part of the country with all the technology and stuff. But just curious, as far as like Compass, that had to have been a hard decision for you to decide. You seem like a thoughtful guy. So just talk a little bit about that. Why'd you land on those guys, and how they're helping you market your stuff a lot better?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was very hard. I know we were kind of talking about this at the break, and one thing I struggled with is I did start my own brokerage, and it was great, but I had to really think about, and you kind of think about it at the end of the year, as you're getting your taxes ready, and you kind of figure out what worked, what didn't. I had to kind of come to the realization that I didn't like taking over all the compliance stuff. I just didn't want to be liable for that anymore. Not to say I'm reckless. It's just when I looked at my time being spent on things that really didn't move the needle in my business that much to bring in more money, bring in more clients, expand my reach. I really had to focus on that. And I actually was traveling to a Grant Cardone event down in Florida last December. And I remember thinking, man, I'd love to sell real estate down here. And so I started looking up offices that were down in Florida, because I figured, well, they could, I'm not licensed in Florida. I don't have a broker license in Florida. I'm not going to start my own brokerage down there. And so I came across Compass, and I've been following them for a while. So I reached out, and we talked about possibly doing something in Florida, met with them up here in Wisconsin first. And, they obviously give you a pitch about why they're so great and everything like that. Every brokerage does. And when I met with them, I just felt something different about them. I've been with franchises before, and they just had, it seemed like a really tight community, and I saw an opening for me to come in and really build on what I have been building on as my own brokerage, as being that rural property specialist, the land person, that resource for other agents. And so when I kind of saw that, like how I could, be a part of a group that's under one name, but then also keep the Land and Legacy Group brand, and then even build on that and build stronger connections with people. That really just stood out for me. And they have a pretty, I don't want to say it's rigorous, but a new agent can't go and sign with Compass just because they want to. They have to be invited in or be a part of a team for a while so they learn, which I thought was different from a lot of other brokerage models. So when I started talking with the other agents that are there, they're experienced and they are heavy hitters, and I had to go back to myself and look and say, like, look, you have an opportunity to learn from some really successful brokers and agents. It's not just about splits and being your own independent person. You should really just kind of check your ego and take advantage of what this company is trying to do in this market.
Yeah. Well, and I think that Compass is pretty similar to Remax in the sense that it kind of brands itself worldwide as this is not where agents go to start. Like unless you get a team like you said that'll take you on and give you that opportunity. Remax is a little bit more geared towards similar to Compass in the sense of it's geared towards the more experienced agent, and so that's pretty cool. Well, and then if you start like you start interacting with the land world, I mean, you're going to see that like it doesn't really matter. Those people, like you go to these conferences and there's really no arrogance. It's just people that really love what they do, and they'll you call them up. I can't tell you how many different people I've called and said, hey, I kind of have this problem. What do you think? And they'll be like, oh, well, this is what I did, and you might want to look into this or call this person or something like that. So it's a lot more. RLI is a lot of connections and stuff like that. So
and the first thing I did actually when I joined out RLI, and then I started on the ALC, but then reached out to the local chapter that we had, and they really didn't have a presence in Wisconsin at all. And so the Midwest one, I forget all the states in there right now, but so it covers more area. But now I'm on their board, and so that helped too to really take advantage of all the resources that RLI has. And it's not just the training; it's what we're doing right now. Talking to each other, and then it's like we've known each other forever because we just share that connection with that. And I mean that's really cool. You don't get that everywhere. No, and it's we both know all too well this is a cutthroat business, as well as it's it's a business where we have to overcome the fact that like 90% of the agents out there do 2 transactions a year, and so I don't know that you can call yourself a professional if I don't think I'd want a heart surgeon to operate on me that only did 2 heart surgeries a year, no matter how good he used to be. But, all right, brother. Well, let's take another break and come back and visit a little bit more. I'm having a great time with you, Al, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on today. Absolutely.
All right, we will be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Remax Home Farm and Ranch. Remax Home Farm and Ranch is the premier marketing and selling real estate company in Nebraska and South Dakota. You can find all the great Remax agents and their listings at homefarmranch.com. That's homefarmranch.com. You can look up and see what they're up to and follow along on all the things that they have going on. Once again, this episode is brought to you by Remax Home Farm and Ranch, and you can find their listings and their agents at homefarmranch.com. Once again, homefarmranch.com. Hey everybody, we're back with Al Wisnefske from southern Wisconsin. So I hope I haven't slaughtered your name, Al.
Dude, you got it on that second try.
I speak Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I practiced my different kinds of cheeses all night.
What's your favorite cheese?
I am up on Koby, of course. Jeez. I am up and ready to talk about the depression you guys are having over Aaron Rodgers. If you need a shoulder to cry on,
I'm good. I think most people are good. It's probably more the Bucks than anything.
I'm just waiting. I'm not trying to dig you guys any stress, but I'm just waiting for the inappropriate pictures to come from New Jersey. I don't know if you're too young to remember when Favre went to the Jets, but yeah, got into a little bit of trouble. So seems like the history is repeating itself.
Yeah.
But all right, enough of that. We're not football commentators. I'm totally. I get to be. I'm a kind of a fanboy when it comes to the industry. I really love marketing. I love what people are doing with it. I'm kind of like I'm in the middle of redoing all of our websites and stuff like that. It's just so time consuming, and you just today rolled out your new website, which is fantastic. Talk just a little bit about like marketing and how important it is to put some money behind your horsepower in marketing when you're selling real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've struggled with marketing, and it honestly wasn't until I hired a coach that I really got serious about it. And it wasn't doing, what are those magnets that a lot of agents send? I don't do any of those calendars. I don't do anything like that. I don't do open houses. So I found a coach that helped me really create content. It was all about how you get your message out, different content types, hitting on people's problems so they relate to what you're talking about, and really being an expert and a resource. And that was mostly through social media, Facebook. What I've struggled with is a lot of those platforms have changed since I started doing that, and this was probably 3 or 4 years ago. But the biggest thing that I've always been doing is either learning about marketing and how that's changed, what's coming up, like TikTok is obviously huge right now, but also having coaches and experts that I can talk to that know far more than what I do. And they just say, hey, look, if this is where you want to go, just do this. And so I'm actually working with Ryan Serhant's team from $1 Million Listing. He's been helping me do all of my branding stuff, website, blog articles, YouTube channel, all the social media posts, what to type, how to do it. But I'm still understanding, who the ideal client is. And there's a lot of people that own really nice properties that aren't on those platforms. And so then I got to figure out, okay, how do I reach them? And so direct mail has always been very, very good for me. I've tried just about everything from postcards to letters, designs, you name it. Like, I've tried everything. I've probably spent well over $150K in the last 3 years on direct mail. And some of it works really good at certain times, some of it doesn't. I'm sure you've tried things that you're like, damn, I probably shouldn't have done that. But you learn from it. I've tried radio ads. That worked okay, but I didn't really see an immediate ROI on that. So now our biggest marketing is still rolling with that content stuff. We have a podcast like you do, getting the SEO part of it ranked, high. So when people are searching for stuff, you're popping up and you're being everywhere. You're being omnipresent. But I'm still sticking to the direct mail. I've basically built my business on direct mail. Trying different things. I just actually rewrote a letter that's 3 pages. So I'm going to try that and see what happens if my response rate goes higher. So I'm always tweaking stuff that way. But I've also introduced text messaging to a skip trace list. And that is a work in progress. I've seen response rates as high as 14%, as low as 2%. And it's it depends kind of who you hit, obviously, on what day. But I'm crafting that a little bit more, just to keep fresh, keep ahead of everything. And then, I want to be the people that I want to be the person that people call, when they do it. So I need to be everywhere. I need to be omnipresent with my stuff. Right.
And that texting, that's just like, That's just starting some of that, and that text. I mean, with the service providers, that is kind of the sacred cow. Like that is the last frontier of privacy, kind of, that you're not bombarded on. So
Yeah.
I know, like, you got to be very, very careful about how you do that.
Yep.
Otherwise you'll get in trouble with the carriers and stuff.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was a rigorous to even set up an account to be able to do that. You just don't sign up for it online and like away you go.
Right.
There's a lot of laws and stuff like that, and it was something that I'm not a cold caller at all. If a lead comes in, like, I'll call them, but as far as like, hey, Al, here's 50 people, call today to see if they're interested in selling their property, like, that's just not me. And so I needed to look at myself too and be like, hey, what am I comfortable doing where I naturally like come off, who I really am versus somebody that I'm not, and that kind of narrowed down what my marketing channels were going to be too.
Sure. Yeah. So you got your marketing kind of in place now. I'm sure, like me, you've kind of thrown a bunch of spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck. Let's go back to because without having a listing, you really don't have anything to market except for yourself. So when you're looking at you're talking to a seller about a listing, and you're out there, you got boots on the ground, you're walking the property. What are you focused in on with that seller to just try and assure them that, hey, I'm your guy?
I used to take a stack of probably 50 pages of collateral about me, about their property, market analysis. I honestly, I don't take anything now. I just go out there and I meet with them and I just get to know them and we just have a conversation. And so by that, they just want to know, who is this person? Do I like them? Do I know enough about them that I trust them with this? And really the rest takes care of itself. So I don't go there being an information provider. I go there to build a relationship. And that's pretty much it. I've tried all of the listing presentation stuff where you're going through the slideshow, showing them how cool you are, how many sales you've done, all your cool marketing tools. I've done that, and I've just found the relationships that I established just by having a really good conversation. Those are the people that I really like to work hard for, and I feel like that relationship lasts a lot longer than somebody that just you kind of force onto them, to sign something or list their property. So I've really changed my technique that way. And I think somebody that doesn't have listings or doesn't have a track record, you almost go into it expecting nothing. You're not tied to that outcome at all. You just go out there and you put your best foot forward and be yourself. People will reciprocate by hiring you, and then you start building a track record, which helps, right? I mean, it does help to say, yeah, I did this last year or a week ago. But you first got to be yourself and be confident and be comfortable so that people have confidence and they're comfortable with you.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, what's your best, not trying to get you to give away any of your secrets, but all the stuff that you can do just in life to get connected with clients. You said you like direct mail and stuff, like clubs, stuff like that. Is that something that helps you out? I know you were in several hunting clubs in Wisconsin and probably done a bunch more stuff, but like what joining what organization has helped benefit your, aside from your coaching, has helped your career?
Honestly, probably RLI. And I'm not a paid spokesperson for them at
Me neither.
all.
No, they should pay me.
Yeah, but it's like I've been part of the QDMA, which is now NDA. Great group, local groups, committees, stuff like that. But I've just seen I've never met RLI people in person yet. I mean, I will once we start, especially going to the National Land Conference. But just the openness that those people have in there. If you want to be in the rural space, be a part of a rural organization helps. everybody's going through the same struggles that you are. And it just seems like if you spend 20 minutes or a half hour talking to another member, you're going to connect super well because you have that same passion for that type of real estate. And every time I talk with an RLI member, or we have our board meeting for our local chapter, I just feel better about my career and the industry because you're collaborating, which, I mean, right. If you're kind of stuck, I mean, finding a group like that could be huge.
Sure. Yeah, no, and RLI has done, it has been the best investment I've made in joining that group and being a part of that. And being a new ALC accredited land consultant has been, that was probably one of the things that was more difficult than getting my broker's license in the beginning. So
yeah, how did you feel when you got when that notification came through that you're like, yep, everything's done, like, you're an ALC now? Like, I bet you it's a confidence boost.
You know how I found out was they handed me the ALC lanyard at the land conference. They didn't even tell me what it was.
So it wasn't even exciting.
So they handed me the ALC thing and didn't catch it right away until I was looking at a buddy of mine that was there, and he had submitted his packet a lot later than I did, and so his was like a green band, and mine had ALC written all over it, and he was like, "Hey, you didn't tell me you got your ALC," and I'm like, "I didn't know I did." And so so then I went back to the desk and asked Jerry about it, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, sorry about that. We were supposed to tell you."
Great. So that's all. I'll find out in Kentucky, and I'll just be like, "Man, it's almost a year ago."
Great place to get it, man.
Yeah.
And no matter what time you get it this year, they still let you walk the stage in Kentucky when you go down there, and so you get to go get your gift and stuff. But no, well, it's been great talking to you and getting to know you a little bit, Al. I hope we keep in touch, and definitely looking forward to seeing you in Louisville next year, where all the masters get together. I have kind of gotten to be a little bit a fan of it's This Land Is Your Land, right?
Yep.
This Land Is Your Land podcast, so I highly recommend that people go check that out. How do folks get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of Al if they're looking for to sell some land in Wisconsin?
The best way, and even if you got agents looking, and like you said, like, we collaborate all the time, and agent just wants to bend my ear. I prefer email, al@landandlegacygroup.com. That's all spelt out. You can find me on YouTube. Just Wisconsin Land Broker is my, I don't even know, handle. Is that what they call it on there? I should know that.
I think so. You're at?
Yeah. And then Instagram is probably where I'm the most active, and that's just at Al Wisnefske. But that's where I post most of my stuff. Videos on YouTube every week. This Land Is Your Land is every 2 weeks. But emails all the time, so if anybody wants to reach out, al@landandlegacygroup.com is the best.
Perfect. Well, brother, I so appreciate you taking the time to be on today. I know I've learned a lot from you, and I look forward to keeping in touch and learning more and more. So with that, that's all we got for today, and we will see you all down the road. You have been listening to the American Land Seller Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us this week for our program, and we promise to continue to try and find new, exciting, and informative things to discuss every single time. If you would be so kind, please like, subscribe, or follow whatever works on the app you're listening or watching on. We would love for you to keep track of what we're up to. Thanks again, and until next time, God bless you. Have a great week. Today's episode is brought to you by RE/MAX Home Farm and Ranch. RE/MAX Home Farm and Ranch is the premier marketing and selling real estate company in Nebraska and South Dakota. You can find all the great RE/MAX agents and their listings at homefarmranch.com. That's homefarmranch.com. You can look up and see what they're up to and follow along on all the things that they have going on. Once again, this episode is brought to you by RE/MAX Home Farm and Ranch, and you can find their listings and their agents at homefarmranch.com. Once again, homefarmranch.com.